Hello, I'm Erin McMahon, Superintendent of the Saugus Public Schools. Thank you to Saugus TV for this opportunity to host a monthly update to the community. This month, I'm talking to Vincent Serino, the newest member of our school committee, who goes by Vin. The Serino family is no stranger to community service in Saugus. In fact, this is not Mr. Serino's first time on the committee. He previously served from 2013 to 2015 until work obligations pulled him away. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Serino.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm curious, could you tell us why you decided to run again in 2021 for the school committee?
You know what? I decided to run talking to some people, talking to the chairman, just to help with student achievement. I read your goals and what you're looking to do, and I'm behind it 100%. I think Saugus has always been a community that has risen to the goals put in front of them, and I want to help do that.
Yes, and we're already on our way. I'm curious, what experiences from your first time on the school committee are you bringing with you this time around?
Just open-mindedness, right? Not being set in my ways, and not it's got to be this way or that way. I think things have changed. Obviously, technology changes every day. Things are different with COVID and with some different things. I think some of the things I've learned in the past I can pass along, and if they work, great. If not, we move on to what's working.
Well said. So you also previously owned your own business, Northeast Enterprises, a brokerage firm started by your father.
Yeah.
What experience and skills from your business life are you bringing to the school committee?
Well, I think a lot of it is dealing with employees, dealing with clients, is people skills. You know, always put yourself in the other person's shoes for a minute. Yes. Because you need to understand where they're coming from. You need to understand. Listen, everyone has bad days, right? And you shouldn't let a bad day define you. So that, from the business world, helps out a lot. Like my leadership skills, like I told someone once, they said, you must be stressed, you must have pressure on you. I said, you know what pressure is? Payroll's on Friday, and it's Thursday afternoon, and you don't have the money in the bank. That's pressure. So I think everything else is kind of relative when you do things like that.
I would agree. Many of our high school students are also interested in starting their own businesses. I'm curious, what was it like taking over the business from your father and then selling it?
Well, I think he had a real entrepreneurial streak in him, and a style in him, and he was one of these guys who worked as hard as you could imagine. And he went to work for a big brokerage firm, and he was actually one of 4 presidents, and he was the only president without a college education. And he was the only president who wouldn't sign a non-compete, because he said, this is my business. If you let me go, I'll be in business again tomorrow. And that's why he took the business out on his own, and why he was successful with it. And I think the selling of the business was another thing I learned from my father. It never hurts to listen, right? And someone made an offer that was really worthwhile, and it takes care of my mother for the rest of her life, if she lives forever, and it helps my sister. And so it was the right move family-wise. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to learn from things like that.
Can imagine. As a lifelong resident of Saugus and a parent of Saugus Public School alumni, what do you see are the district's biggest assets and perhaps some of our challenges?
I think the biggest assets are the people, right? I think yourself, I think the teachers, I think the support staff. I think when you look at what we have beautiful buildings now, and I think that's an asset. And I think the people in it are the biggest asset, because they really care, and I think, there's bad apples in every bunch, right? But I think a lot of these educators and a lot of the support staff truly in their heart care. It's not about, okay, it's 3:30, I'm going home. It's about, what can I do tomorrow to engage this student? Or this student's falling behind. What can I do to lift them up? And I think that's a big asset. And I think, like I said, it's people, right? People make the world. Yes. And I think that's what our assets are.
Well said. And as you said, our educators are working so hard this year, as they have the last several, but especially this year, to accelerate out of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. And COVID's tough. And I think if you ask most of them, they'd rather be with the student than be online with the student. And I think change is inevitable, but it's what you do with the change that makes you who you are.
Well said. As a superintendent, I believe this is a critical time for Saugus, as many of our students are 2 years behind in literacy and math. So I'm curious, from your perspective, what would you recommend that our priorities be for the next couple of years?
Well, I think you got to meld your priorities in with what your final goal is, right? We want to get them to the top 10%.
Yes.
And I think the one thing parents, teachers, students have to understand is the doors that the top 10% will open for you, right?
Yes.
It's a lot different when you're applying to a Harvard or a Yale or an Ivy League school, and you know you have a real good chance because where you're coming from.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's what, you know, these students have to understand, and they have to be motivated to get there, right? It's nothing's ever free, right? So no substitute for hard work, the whole 9 yards. But I think once we start lifting these students, it's going to get easier and easier, and you become one of those towns that people want to move to. You know, people want to engage. You're getting the best and brightest.
It's so well said. I mean, given that we have so much work to do, what causes you optimism about the future?
Well, I think the team that's together. I think having yourself here. I think Mr. Crabtree. I think like the support staffs, right? I'm very optimistic that we're all on the same page. And I think instead of wasting time going back and forth about things in the big scheme of things aren't going to matter, I think as we move forward and we move together, it's going to give people hope, optimism. And like I said, it's typical entrepreneurial style, right? You want to be this, you want to be that. It takes hard work, but it's where you come from, right? It's everyone works together to lift the students up and move them forward. It's
so well said, and we do look at this as a community solution. High expectations for kids starts at home, and we as the Saugus community and then we as the Saugus Public Schools want to make sure that parents feel really good about sending their kids to Saugus Public Schools. So I'm curious, what would you say to parents of Saugus Public School students right now who are considering keeping or retaining their students in Saugus or choosing Saugus for the first time?
Well, I would tell them to come here and look around, right?
Yeah.
Look at the facilities. You're going to be part of something that is, you want to be on the ground floor. Like if you were the first guy to invest in Apple, or you're the first guy to invest in Tesla, you want to be on that ground floor, right? We're a little bit above that ground floor, but that's where you want to be. You want to be the reason why the next generation is going here, and there's a starting point for everything. You want to be there, right? The first team that won the Super Bowl, everyone remembers them, right? Let's get these kids to be the first.
I think we only remember the Patriots.
I know,
yes.
But let's get these kids to be the first class that make it to the 50th percent. Little steps, and we'll get there.
Exactly. Well said. So just on a lighter note, what advice would you give to a new superintendent like myself?
I would say block out all the white noise, because you're gonna get stuff from parents that, not parents, but you're gonna get stuff from people that say, we got to do this or we need that, right? And you listen, because that's your job. You listen, right? All good leaders listen. But I think you got to take that and maybe hand it off to someone and say, can you handle this? You know, not try to do everything, you know?
Good advice. And I'm sure you did that as a business leader yourself.
You try.
And last but not least, I have 5 questions to help the viewers get to know you a little better. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. What is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal is probably rotisserie chicken.
And a particular restaurant, or just?
No, I make it at home.
Oh.
Like, I do a lot of cooking. I love to cook.
Oh, great.
So, and candied bacon too. I like candied bacon.
Ooh. All right, we know where we're going to go eat. Where is your favorite place to go in Saugus?
Pranker's Pond.
Oh, tell us about that.
So Pranker's Pond is right, if you go by the old high school field, right by Stackpole Field, and you go down the back way, Pranker's is actually the first home of Saugus hockey when the water froze.
Wow.
And it's the one place you can take your dog and let the dog off the leash. And so me and my wife will go there early in the mornings on Saturday, and we always see deer, and we'll see some coyote, and we have the dog, and it's nice. It's, you know what, I remember it as a kid, and I'm enjoying it now.
That's great. Or curious, what was the last book you read?
So I read it periodically, and it's The Art of War, Sun Tzu, because it actually, people think, oh, it's going to teach you about, it teaches you about yourself. And it teaches you to be honest with yourself and know your good qualities, know your bad qualities, and work on the things that you need to work on.
So we've heard you be very successful in your later jobs. What was your first job?
My first job was a dishwasher at Heck Allen's Restaurant, which is now, I'm trying to think of it, it's K-Pub.
Okay. And what did that, I'm curious, what did that teach you?
Just hard work, right? It's, you know, it was a different time back then. I think I was 12 years old and used to go to work at, you know, before the dinner rush at 3, break down, clean up at 10, be out there by 11, right? And walk home.
Wow. You're right.
Different world.
Times have changed. And last but not least, for our high school students, what was your favorite subject in high school and why?
History.
And
loved history.
Loved history. Tell us why.
It's actually going to go to one teacher, Mr. Ahern. Because he challenged me, right? And he engaged with me. It wasn't, yep, okay, next. He engaged with you. Why do you think that? And I've always had a spot in my heart for history. And even when I travel on business, I'll go to Manassas, I'll go to some of these Civil War battlefields, I'll go to some of these other places that are history.
That's fantastic. Well, again, joining me today, and thank you, Mr. Vincent Serino, for joining us. We're really excited to give Saugus residents an idea of what's to come in the new year. And so I just want to say thank you. Your family, the Serinos, has a strong set of roots in the Saugus community, and will be critical for our future success.
Well, thank you. I appreciate having. I'm glad you're here. And like I said, is top 10% isn't far away.
We're on our way. So thank you very much, Mr. Serino.
Thank you.
I'll be seeing you at the next school committee meeting.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see all of you in our next school committee meeting. Please feel free to join us in person or online, and keep an eye on my next newsletter for examples of what we're doing to help students feel safe and at home while in school. Happy holidays, and my best to all of you.